All right. We done went live up in this bad boy, and I'm sitting there tinkering around with some jigs. It's cold. Well, it's kind of rainy. Can't do much. So I'm in the house dreaming about skipping docks and tinkering around with jigs. So it's my first live Buckeye Facebook. Uh, done a lot of other stuff, but I ain't done this one live. So yeah, I know. We're gonna be cool with it. We ain't gonna say nothing too bad. I done took over my wife's desk. Y'all can tell. It's Lulu's decor behind me. So kind of taking in here. We're gonna talk a little bit about.
We don't have enough people on just yet, so just kind of tell them we're just gonna wait a little bit.
That's what I'm gonna do. I already got people telling me to do it. I ain't even got to do it. Y'all see how this works? Oh, we don't have. Just gotta. I got this. I got this, Lulu. Before I turn this around there on you with that hair up in a messy bud and no brazier on and them two dogs, two dogs in your lap. I'll show you. So it is Thursday night, 7 p.m. my time, December the 8th. Kind of easing into winter, getting a little close to Christmas. We ain't had a hard winter yet. We ain't. We've had a couple cold snaps, but them bass ain't went into that full winter pattern yet. They still sniffing around in them ditches and shallow up in them ditches. They ain't deep, and they still on that tap water. I still on that tap water. I talked to Jesse Wiggins the other day, and he said they they still busting some on the top water up there at Smith Lake. So I think we still a couple of cold fronts away from seeing the full winter pattern. As I say, it don't ever get cold till about February, January and February, whenever the Bassmaster Series starts back. Whenever the Elite Series has its first tournament, it'll be 300 below Santa Claus Sack when we get out there and blowing in Toho. That's what it always does. So something about this last 10-year trend, we've been January and February has been our coldest months. December's kind of been a mild month. So it was a short sleeve t-shirt kind of day. I was actually down in Georgia on Tuesday from lunch to dark to Wednesday, doing a Mountain Dew sweepstakes trip with Michael Waddell, and pretty warm down there too. That's 3.5 hours south of here, but they said that they're struggling to get the right weather for the rut too to get the deer moving. So we just kind of fighting that warm weather, we just waiting. Where everybody at? Where y'all at? Yellowstone ain't on. Rip ain't on. We need some folks to come on over here to Buckeye and hang out. And I know y'all see them glasses. That's the next step for Viagra right there. Reading glasses. Can't see good. So part of the process as you get in your 50s, your vision starts to fade a little bit. This messes with you. Close up, tie knots, and that's when we go to them super finesse tournaments. People think, what do you think about all the ultralight fishing? I love it. It's just harder to tie on. That's all it is. I got some folks messaging me on my phone, so tell them folks to get on here and talk to me, boo.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Come on here and make a video and ask them where they at.
I'm doing it right here.
Oh, you just posting, ain't you?
Mm-hmm.
Which one? What sites you on?
Twitter and Instagram.
I could fire these folks up on my page. I'm gonna get on my face page and tell these folks to get on over here. I know y'all sitting there eating dinner. I'm gonna go on and make me a video right now. How about that? Reckon they'll mind? Thanks for the heads up, boo. You said sure, they're mine. I'm live on the Buckeye Facebook page right now, and I have took over my wife's desk. Don't be talking about the glasses unless you mean business, son. This is my 20-pound bag glasses. Actually, this is to read to see my face space. But y'all come over to the Facebook Live on Buckeye. We up right now. Talk a little fishing. Talk a little whatever you want to talk. I don't care. We ain't gonna talk no politics. I've been shied off that, especially trading for prisoners. She done said no on that. So y'all come by and join us on the Buckeye Facebook page right now. See, that's how easy it is to make a video. Now I'm gonna go back over here and I'm gonna go on my page and I'm gonna post that right now. See, I wonder who does my page. It's me and Lulu. Mostly me. She does helps with a lot of the interaction and keeping things going. And she also tries to correct my misspelled words, but I won't let her. I won't let her. So I'm gonna put where y'all at. Where y'all at? So see, I can do this, huh? There you go. That just that quick. On Facebook right now. Right now. Can I say right now? Right now. Right now. I'm gonna throw that up right there. You know, we getting in the jig time of year. So when the comments come up, boo?
When you start asking for questions.
Where the questions at? Like we got like 0 viewer.
No, you have about 40-something people.
Where the questions at? Where y'all at? Are y'all hiding? I don't see nobody. Says you in the show, but I don't see nothing scrolling. Oh, there it is. Oh, Chris done fired one in there. Hey, he said got deer chasing hard today, which don't happen much in the game in North Carolina pretty late in the game. Let me tell you something there, Chris. I'm right there with you, son. I have my double PRPs, one in my right arm, one in my left arm today. I can't even hardly bend in to wipe my hind end, checking my trail cameras, and every big deer, my cull buck, another deer I had on another piece of property I want to kill, is 70 degrees, hot, muggy, and every one of them showed up today in the daytime. Every one of them. It don't make any sense. And here I am, can't even bend, can't pull my bow. I can't do nothing.
You gotta tell them why.
Well, I had tennis elbow in both arms. So I had to have PRP injections. I don't know. I'm ready for Murray Saturday. Ooh, I bet Lake Murray ain't about that bad this time of year. I bet it ain't. Any tips this time of year? I'm gonna say DT6, man. I ain't been on Murray ever in my life in December. I fished 1 or 2 tournaments there in March. Early. Oh, you see them on my page.
He's to give you specific ones. That's
Okay.
all of them.
So like I'm gonna say flat-sided crankbaits and jerkbaits if you got any color in the water. I wouldn't be afraid to fish a little bit more isolated cover and go for fewer bites at Murray. I can tell you that, because shallow brush piles, shallow covers, swim jig, buzz bait, that kind of stuff, you ain't gonna get many bites, but you're gonna get the right ones. That's what I'm talking about. See there, I got a question right. My wife looked at me like I might have got it wrong. Lulu tough on me, y'all. She tough. She tough. I see some. What's up? What's up, G from Fayette? I see you out there. All the way from Fayette. Is that North Carolina or Alabama? I'm gonna pretend it's from Fayette, Alabama, up there in North Alabama a little bit. The deer should be running around pretty good. That ain't far from the farm up there in Jasper where we at. We get Gunnersville tonight, but it ain't be long. We headed back up there to the farm, and then that gets me close to Duncan Bridge, where I can call my boy Jesse Wiggins or Matt Lee and say, let's throw the boat in it, slap one of these spotted bass in the mouth with one of these jigs like I got right here, boy. It's that time of year. I like it. This is a good transition time of the year. Them boys are catching them good, man. I think Wiggins and his brother Jordy won that Black Friday tournament the other day for like 19 pounds. That's pretty hefty. I see Derek right there, Clark Hill, crappie fisherman here. Hey, son, go on, cut the heads off them crappie and send me some. What's up, Wisconsin? Best lure for cold water in the fall. 2 things, a jig and a flat-sided crankbait. I'm going to say 3/8 ounce balling out, brown with a little touch of orange in it. Zoom, if the water's super cold, and I'm saying in Wisconsin, it's probably a little colder than here, I'd probably put a Z hog on there, not a Z crawl, something with straighter legs with less action. I'd do something like a balling out 3/8, kind of slow that action down and let it fall kind of natural. But a jig and a flat-sided crankbait like it's a Slim OG or the original OG from the Ox Garage, Rapala DT6, and even jerking. That's my favorite cold waterfall baits right there when it first starts cooling off. See, I done went all the way to Wisconsin, son. I done got all the way up there where it's cold, honey. She didn't think I could do that. Love the Buckeye jig head, swim bait. See the swim bait heads because they have a bigger hook, not just number 2 hook, number 3. That's a good point. The original J Wheel head has a good hook in it. It does. It has a meat hook if you want to throw the right baits. And however, we are still looking at, since GSM has purchased Buckeye, we're making some pretty aggressive future changes, looking at adding baits. One of the visions we have is to gain full 100% respect and confidence in all tournament anglers from every level. So with that, we know we're going to have to add a super finesse swim bait head. We still want to keep the meat because you got to have the big hooks, Tennessee River, some of these Lake Fork, you throw them bigger baits. But sometimes you might want to drop down and be able to throw it on 12 or 14-pound line and still get good penetration on the hook. So we're looking at that. Thanks for the love, but we're gonna have you do. Huh? Broke the 100 mark. Ooh, eating G-Man. Got your professor glasses on. That's right, son. How come it is when certain women wear glasses, they look like the sexy librarian? When I wear them, I look like a drunk janitor. Don't make any sense. That's unfair right there, honey. I do slide on them Oakley readers from time to time to read, the things leaving away in a positive mental attitude videos. Love watching the videos. Thanks for the support, Alan, on the PMA, man. Talk a lot about the attitude through fishing and just in life in general. The mindset is what changes the game. I mean, that's what it's all about. If you think better, you live better. If you live better, well, you live better. You fish better, you feel better. So a lot of stuff I talk about is just things that I learned from my mistakes, things that I did wrong. It ain't something I went to college and studied. It's just writing down life lessons and saying, don't do that again and change your mindset. So thanks again, Alan, for the support on the PMA. We're trying to make a lot of PMA shirts and hats. So hold tight. We're trying to get them made. Just never had time to catch up on them, but we're going to. So, we're going to see some Buckeye spinner baits. You didn't heard some talking, some rumor on that. You're going to see them. Is Deion Sanders going to win at Colorado? Of course you're going to see them. We already in the works on it right now. You're going to see a Buckeye buzzbait, the GMan edition. That's right. I'm talking about the kicking chicken, the squalling dog. You're going to see it. We got some big things in the works, and I think fishermen around the country are going to be impressed with the next step we take. We're taking a great company to a absolute just tournament smackdown. So we're looking at several different varieties, but yes, you're going to see a spinnerbait, and it is going to be really nice. What up, G? You calling in from Kentucky, Michael? What's up there, Kentucky? I understand. Y'all's hunting season winding down. Y'all might have a little secondary rut. Might have a little, I don't know, Tennessee River up there might be a tad bit colder, but I don't think y'all seen much more colder weather than we've seen down here. But I bet them crappies is biting up there, honey. And ain't nobody on skin none send them to us. We won't crappie, don't we, boo?
Heck yes.
Heck yeah. Shit, thought she went to sleep. Favorite color all around jig. If I have one color, it's going to be a brown skirt. Just straight brown with a green pumpkin trailer. If I had to pick one jig for the rest of my life, brown with a green trailer. It's the most natural. Get more bites on it than any, and it's almost like anywhere I go. Yes, there's times when the natural green pumpkins and all that, when these high pressure situations, you see that. But right now, I'd stay brown. When we're going to see the swim jig, and that's coming because you looking at a brother like to swim a jig, and we about to put one out there that you're going to be proud of. And the key is we not going to overthink it. Right hook, right skirt, right color. It ain't that fancy. Make a bait, throw it, swim it, look good. They smoke it, they take it down. We jerk, we reel them in, put them in the box. We make money. We come back, we buy more Buckeye swim jigs. It's coming. It's in the works as we speak. It's cool to see you guys ask that because there's some of the things that Crispin and the team and that we're over there at Buckeye, we're already working on. We see, if you looked at it from a coaching standpoint, we see a couple of holes in our offensive line that we need to fill in with the great baits, and the swim jig is coming. And colors is the key, the good colors, the right colors, and that's, I think that's something I've enjoyed about the new ownership is the way they lend an ear to the pro and say, what do we need? What are we missing? How do we improve this? And that's how you develop the best baits for every company, because most of the guys that fish all the time have a pretty good mindset of what's the trend is and what they buy. And it's a simple motto. You build a bait, the fish bite, and fishermen bite. How hard is that? And that's what we're kind of falling back on is we just want guys to catch more fish and then they'll buy more baits. So, yeah, swim jig will be there before you know it. We got a lot of work, and I got Christmas kill him, and he's mad at me right now because I'm behind on getting him colors, but I'm working on it. When's the hair jig coming? Now, look here, now, you don't went out there and start talking about somebody's kids. We talking about it, and don't think we ain't thinking about it. I mean, we got our mind looking at a really good hair jig. It's just one of the things you're going to run into that is getting it made right. with the right amount of hair, the right type of hair. Hair jigs seem simple, but there's not many people out there that know as much about hair jigs like David Allen up at Pigwick, one of the original makers of the hair jig, that know how to get it right. So to do it in mass production is a little tougher, but we are looking at it. I think a hair jig is a staple in a boat, especially the Tennessee River. And I think you see it even on smallmouth lakes. I've seen them catch them on it. I remember Joe Lee blasted them on it in one of the MLFs or something down there in Florida. So the hair jig it's sitting there on the stove. Trust me, it's getting looked at and talked about. It's just figuring out how to make it right, where to get it made so that you, the customer, gets the best experience and they're happy when they get the product in their hand. So yeah, it's coming. Might take a little while, but it's coming. I'm trying to kill all the deer I can to use their tail. What else will be able to get the new rods and reels at? The new 13 Meta series are going to be. We have a boat that's on the water right now. We've had a small shipment come in and went to Tackle Warehouse. I made a video. They sold out overnight, but they will be an academy. They will be in Dick's. They will be in almost all your big box store except Bass Pro Shop. They did not accept them on the first go round, so you'll be able to get them online at Tackle Warehouse. It's going to be available on a lot of outlets, but I think it's going to be right at Christmas, or it could be the first week of January before the rods reach the big box store and ready to ship again. So look for them to come out right there. Lulu's still packing heat at 38. In the good book, she got a 38 and a 9 and the good book. My wife will shoot you in the foot and pray for you at the same time. Somebody asked us the other day, we got a gun in the car. I said, no, she got 3.
You got to give Amy Janelle a shout out.
Amy Janelle, I got to give you a shout out.
Yep.
What's Amy Janelle doing to get a shout out?
Her husband asked you to.
Okay, your husband, Amy Janelle, a big shout out coming in from the Swindle House up here at Gunnersville. Looking to meet you when you come down to Florida, man. We're excited about it. We're speaking down there in January at the MPAA, and it's a great situation for people to come learn about the fishing business. Things will be talked about in that meeting that's probably never talked about on any other site or written about anywhere, from what to expect to make as an angler, how to generate money, how to get your profits going, how to make a living in the outdoors. And it's not just a professional fisherman. It's every level of fisherman. You in my eyes, if you guide full time, you just kind of professional fisherman. You make a living doing what you want to do. So we're going to provide some insight on that. So I hope we get to see you there. I know it's filling up and it's limited seats, so you might want to go ahead and make sure you sign up. Make sure Kyle Usher don't be sending me no ugly messages. When's the right time for glide baits, say on Pickwick? Honey, you might want to call Carl. Call Carol. You know what I've been learning the last couple of years on glide baits, and I really have leaned on guys like Jacobson and Polinick to talk to them more about glide baits. Zaldane, these guys that do it all the time. And it seems like you see those glide baits really, really excel in pre-spawn, cold water, up to the right at the spawn is when it seems to be really good. So I think if you're going to just like really want to wreck them one time on it, I think you're going to be looking at a March bite. A lot of times February, according to what the water temperature is, but seems to be a pre-spawn thing is when the big ones get after, especially on deeper channel swing banks. There you go. My wife, Amy Janelle, loves you.
Somebody wants to know how much you've been working out, because you always look like you're in great shape.
Somebody wants to know how much I've been working out. Well, Amy Janelle, you know I love you.
That wasn't Amy Janelle.
Well, she just popped up here.
Okay.
So I'm giving you a shout out, but I'm going to tell you, someone's asking, how do I always look like I'm working out or I'm in great shape? I don't know. I got good, decent genetics, but I don't work out as much as I need to during hunting season, because now I do hunt a lot, and I do when I hunt a lot, I never sit down. So like the other day, in 3 days, I put out almost 100 bags of corn at 50 pounds a bag. So it's not uncommon for me to go to the co-op or the Marvin's up there in Jasper, Alabama, buy 40 or 50 bags of corn, come home, put them all in a buggy, take them out, lift them over my head, put them in the feeder. So I do a lot of things during hunting season that resembles working out, because I don't have time to go to the gym, and I walk a lot, consciously thinking about staying in shape. But I think my wife and I decided January the 1st this year, we're going to try to do another 6 or 8 week program where we really cut back on most all sugars, a lot of your liquids, processed foods. Try to cut a lot of that back just for inflammation, because I got bad knees, shoulders, and back, so I'm going to do that. But we do make a conscious effort of what we eat a lot. Now, we'd have times when we just at hunting camp, sometime when I'm gonna be honest, when them Christmas tree cakes come out, unlike my Uncle Earl, and he couldn't stay out of rehab. When them Christmas tree cakes come out, I'm getting in them things. I love to eat a whole box.
Only pick one. Your biggest influence in your career: James Watson, Luke Duncan, or Trey?
Whew, this question Lulu's asking me over the couch is: I can only pick one. My biggest influences in my career. I can only pick one of these three: James Watson, Luke Clunkin, Trey Swindle. If you put all three of them in a mixer and blended them together and spread them on a piece of bread, you couldn't taste a good fisherman. But I'm going to say biggest influence, inspiration, Trey, knowledge, Duncan, therapist, Watson. Tips on slackline hook sets is you can't jerk hard enough. I don't care what nobody says. People say, I don't like slacklining. Well, I don't like you either. Slackline for life. I'm making hats. You think I'm kidding you? Me and my boy Shannon Wheeler's already working on a hat line. We're going to try to use the Richardson 112, and the hat's just going to be called Slackliner for life. Slackline hook set. It does have a little madness behind the hook set. Is I've always said, if you just reel down on a hook and you pull real slow, the penetration is not as good, because if you took a needle and just eased it into a balloon real slow, you'll be surprised how far the needle will actually go inside the balloon before it pops versus one quick jab. So the hook set, or the slackline, is designed for that snap hook penetration in. The key is always know where your rod tip is. If you're going to slackline, you don't want when you originally start, you don't keep your rod out of position. So if I'm jig fishing, the biggest key is I'll keep the rod tip around 10 o'clock at all times. That way, when I drop into it and come back up, when I reach the 12 o'clock position, I should be full tight line and reeling. Mama's got her hand up.
You and Lulu shoot.
What bow do me and Lulu shoot? Lulu shoots a Matthews Prima, and I shoot the new V3. And I have a Triax, and I actually just purchased, haven't even shot it yet, I just purchased the new shorter V3 at Pat's Archery up in Jasper. Paul up there in the archery department does all my bow customizing work. And I have a 33-inch axle to axle, and I'm buying a 29-inch axle to axle, or 28, ain't it? 28. I'm buying that just simply for hunting in tree stands with a lot of cover around them, so you can reduce your amount of movement. And the older I get, like some of the situations I've been in, I'm starting to shoot more sitting down. Especially when the leaves get off the tree. So I thought the smaller bow would be better to practice it. And I'm buying it, folks. Don't say, must be nice. And if you got enough money up there, Paul will get you one too.
Hey, somebody wants to know if you've been to Oconee lately, that they saw a half-drunk guy do an empty pack of Dude Wipes at the boat ramp.
Somebody said at Lake Oconee, rumor has it there was an empty Diet Dew bottle and some Dude Wipes laying on the ground. Had I been there? I have not. But that's probably Michael Waddell, because he's from over in that area and he likes both of them. So I was going to blame him right there. What are 4 baits and colors that we use to throw on Lake Martin in the next 2 weeks? Man, I'm going to say at Lake Martin, now that they have a lot of the shad population has really picked up, I have really seen a lot of guys just crushing them, spooning. So I'm going to say a 3/8 ounce white spoon to a 1/2 ounce white spoon. I'm just talking a regular jigging spoon. And that deeper stuff, find the balls of bait using live scope. But white and chrome seems to be the deal. But white is mostly overlooked by a lot of guys. They go with original chrome. That, and I would probably say a Zoom Z drop on probably a drop shot. And then, of course, if they got any color in the water, and you got the right weather, if I'm going to be at Martin, I'm going to skip docks. So I'm going to take a 3/8 ounce balling out. Probably go with a green pumpkin on green pumpkin down there, because the water's pretty clear most of the time. skip docks, try to find a shady spot, pontoon, and try to get 1 or 2 key big bites. My Lake Martin experience right there with strip welding. See, I heard you and Waddy was gonna go to lay smack down the Alabama hammer when you going. Well, me and old Waddy, we go way back. Waddy wants to learn more about fishing, but we decided we might start with crappie because I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that redneck likes to eat everything. Everything we talked about, he said, "Can you cook it in the grease?" So I don't know if we're gonna make it all the way to lay, but I'm gonna say there's a good chance we might call Kyle Welcher and go down there and catch some crappie somewhere. So it's good hanging out with him. It's funny you asked that because a lot of people had a question. There's like, man, I can't believe you were Mossy Oak and what else? Well, Real Tree, what y'all doing hanging out? And like he said, we're not the Bloods and the Crips, we friends. Camo companies is just something we endorse and we wear because we wore it since we was kids, but it doesn't mean you can't be friends. All camo is created to keep people in the outdoors, and that's what it's all about. So it was kind of funny hanging out with him, seeing people say that. What's your favorite month to go catch smallmouth on the Tennessee River? February. And to me, February is the time of year to be on Wilson and Pickwick, Wheeler. If you want to go throw a jerk bait, a little swim. If you want to fish below the tail race, Alabama rigs and stuff like that, that seems to be when the biggest smallmouth are caught. But when I go, I'm a jerkbait guy. I'd rather take a flat-sided crankbait, a jerkbait, or a small Buckeye jig and go down there and throw around on the rocks and the pea gravel and try to catch something like that. But it depends on the current. But February is most definitely the best time for smallmouth fishing on the Tennessee River for me. Bow hunt or bass fish, pick one. I say this in front of my wife, I'm gonna get in trouble because I make a living fishing, but I'm gonna tell you, bow hunting gonna be hard to pass up. I don't gun hunt much ever. I may take it once or twice a year, but bow hunting, and even to her too, is a really way of life. And we respect the struggle, we respect the failure. So bow hunting, I think, keeps me being a better outdoorsman. So I'm gonna say bow hunting.
Go-to bait for early March at Pickwick.
My wife's asked me 1, 2 go-to baits for early March at Pickwick. I'm still going to say some type of lipless crankbait and a jerk bait. March can be cold. The flat-sided crankbaits, the DT6, the Slim OG is going to be really good up there because the fish start to transition up a little bit. You got grass. There's fish shallow at Pickwick year-round. So lipless crankbaits, DT6, Slim OG, jerk baits are going to be always good at the Tennessee River in March. Do you ever get to fish with Aaron Martin in his boat? I got to fish one time with Aaron Martin, and it's funny. I was filling out a brochure thing tonight for the classic, and they asked me my favorite angler and my most admired angler, and I still said it'd be Clay Dyer or Aaron Martin. And the day I spent the boat with him was something I'll never forget. The way he fishes, the way he thinks, never seen anything like it. The simplicity of it, yet laced with the complication. I just stood back and marveled. I'm like, this guy's a genius. So yeah, Aaron Martin's quite impressive to be in the boat with. He did not like latches being left up on his boat. Who's a better hunter, you or KVD? You really got to ask that. Them boys can kill 1 a year. I've been killing 2 or 3 a day since I was 6 years old. You got to ask that.
2 or 3 a day.
I mean, in Alabama, when I grew up, you could kill a buck and a doe a day. I'm going to go with me. You got my Buckeye jig order in today, fishing with Dowie Sunday. Hey, I drove over with Dowie. Y'all a little low on water, but I'm going to tell you what, I seen some of them bluff transitions in the back of them pockets driving back from down there yesterday. Looked like a man might take that little 3/8 ounce. Now, I might go with the balling out too, the full skirt and flip it around, and I might slow that presentation down. I might go on and put that zoom like a junior chunk, like a rabbit ear on there, something smaller, like it. Oh, my wife's got her hand up. Look like she got to go pee. What you raising your hand for?
Do you have a routine you follow when launching or pulling your boat out of the water?
Do I have a routine I follow when I'm launching or pulling my boat out of the water? No, not a lot of time. I just say, Lou, back it on in here. Like tournament days or practice day, Lulu takes me in and out. When I'm by myself, I launch my boat a lot by myself around here at Gunners. Watch us back in slow, put the trailer close to the ramp. As soon as the boat seems to break free from the trailer, like it first starts to wiggle, I slam on the brakes, put it in park, and just slowly walk down the pier and step in it. I don't really have a routine to it. Most of the time when I'm home at Gunnersville in the summer, when I fish so much, I don't ever even put the motor toter on, the back straps or nothing. I just latch the front, pull it to the ramp. I just leave the ramp to the house and the house to the ramp.
But it's close.
But it's close. I mean, I'm a mile, 2 miles away. So yeah, no particular routine. How about a Buckeye chatterbait? Man, I don't know if you're gonna see that, man. We ain't even talked about it. And I think the reason being is so many people are trying to do that, and there's so many of them out there, and it's so complicated around the pattern. And I'm just gonna be honest with you, Jackhammer's got it tied up. I mean, there's a lot of people that's trying to make one just like it, but when it comes right down to it, nobody's beat a Jackhammer and the originals, man. So I think that's one of them chasing a elephant ghost down the road that you could so tie up so much time and not ever be as profitable or make a bait that could rival that one. So I think we're probably just going to stay in our lane, just stay in our lane and do what we do best. What tournament are you looking forward to most next season? Sabine, the Classic in Knoxville, and Sabine in, is it June, honey? Late May or June? I like the Sabine River. It's tough, but it's always a crapshoot. But I am really looking forward to this year's Classic at Knoxville. I think it's going to be an exciting tournament. Good. I think it's going to get more in my wheelhouse. Wire tie skirts, perhaps. We're going to have, Buckeye has their big mock football jig that's wire tied. I would say on my stuff, when you see the like a balling out or the balling out 2 or a swim jig, you're going to see more slip-ons. And the reason being is it's no secret. It's cost, production, and quality, and being able to manufacture them fast enough. And if we make a swim jig that hits like we think we're going to hit, to be able to keep up with production, you're better to invest your time in making a great quality slip-on skirt. And when I say that, I'm talking about one that don't slide down, one that has a built-in heavy-duty collar, and one that we can play with the colors much more and keep them consistent. When you hand tie baits in mass production, you can run into inconsistencies. And I'm just being straightforward with you. And that's one of the things we want to shy away from is knowing if we're going to mass produce swim jigs and stuff like that, we're going to have a really high-end skirt with a really nice collar on it that slips on. It's all stays divided. It's spread out perfectly with the right color variation. Hope that answers the question. I had to put off fishing to hunt. Question: do you ever stoop low enough to throw a Carolina rig? Believe it or not, I will throw it. Watson, I know y'all can't see Watson, but he's coming over here to say hey to y'all. Believe it or not, Watson, you have just made live. Watson, they want to know if you ever thrown a Carolina rig. That's what I look like. You see them eyes when I got to throw it, it's like, woo woo. But yes, I do. Go see your mama. I throw a Carolina rig some more so than people think. A lot of time it's to find out the bottom structure a little bit more. Is it shell? Is it got sand in it? But like I find myself a lot in Florida throwing it. And I think I finished, was it 14th or 15th last year in the Bass Open at Toho, and I caught them all on day 2 on a Carolina rig. I'm not afraid to throw it. I don't practice with it a lot. I think it's one thing you see at that level that I fish is people don't practice with it as much as they put it in their arsenal and they throw it on game day when they know they need to catch a few more fish. Yes, I will throw it. Southeast Indiana, have you ever got to try an OG square bill yet? Yes, the Rocco's pretty legit. And I just talked to my guys at Rapalum. They got a big shipment coming in. It looks like all the shelves are fixing to be full with them. But I think a lot of fishermen out there are going to love it. The size, the pull on it, the ability to catch all sizes of fish. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. It is super nice for a square bill. My wife's got a question again.
It's a good one. Are your rods made different than what they put on the shelf for sale, or are they made equal?
Okay. I know Ricky's boss was helping us this, so he was putting a question up. But I got this one right here coming in from Lulu. It says the question is wanting to know, are the rods that I fish with that are laying on the front deck of my Phoenix 921 PHX with a Mercury 250? I just throw a little sponsor plug in there with some power poles on it, Are they different than what the consumer can buy on the shelf? No. Mine come just like yours, straight from 13, wrapped in the plastic. just like you get. Now, when I was building the rods, and even as I'm testing more rods for 13, as they're working on new projects, Ricky, Matt with the rods and reels may send me something and say, hey, G, try these. Tell us what you think. So if you see one laying there as a prototype, they're not even close to production. That one may be different than any on my deck. But if we say it's a go on that rod, it will be the same one that goes to the shelf. And that was a very good question, because I have known that, and calling no names, I've seen that happen a lot in this industry, that the pros that endorse one rod but be fishing with custom made rods, and that's not cool. And my vision when I made the decision to sit down with 13, Ricky and Matt, say let's build rod and reels, is I wanted you, the customer, the consumer, to have the same experience I had. And I said I want to prove a point that we can build a $150 rod that fishes and feels and just like a $300 rod and outlast it. And that's what we did. Oops, hit my computer. Do you use Sunline shooter on everything, or you use sniper? I'm a shooter guy, start to finish. The only other line I use is I do use their leader line, the Sunline leader line. But other than that, I'm shooter front, side to side, back to forward. I love shooter. That 22 down to 8. I mean, that's all about me. Shooter, shooter, shooter. That's what I got used to. That's old Paul answered that. What part of Kansas was you hunting in? A little town of Dexter, just a little bit bigger than an eagle's butt hole and a little bit larger than a gopher hole. I mean, we were right there at it. So Dexter, Kansas. We hunt on the outskirts of that little bitty town. It's about 2.5, 3 hours from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Hunt with Bob Bagby, one of my dearest old time friends. Another great friend, Jeff Toll, with Brothers and Company. Got RT, Robert Trossett. He's 70 years old. Our RT's out of Key West, Florida. Big guy down there. He hunts with us. So there's 4 of us on a lease out there. But yep, Dexter, Kansas. Close to Arkansas. Hey, G, can you go through a few of the new casting rods and say which technique you use best for? Okay. Got a few questions about my rod. So I have a 7.6 medium heavy. And if you'll notice, a lot of my actions fall back under medium heavy. Why? Because it's the most used, most sought after, most solid for everything action. 7.6 medium heavy. It's going to be your pitching and flipping rod. Great. Now, is my 7.6 medium heavy something you want to put a 2-ounce weight on and punch grass? No, it's not. A great flipping and pitching rod is not something you can cross over and flip grass with. We are working on that next year. We are going to come out with one, but my grass rod will probably be around the 7.8 series. It won't be 8 foot. So 7.6 medium heavy, pitching and flipping all the way down to a 3/8 ounce ball and out, all the way up to a 5/8 big jig. I'm solid with this thing. I like it. 7.4 medium heavy is kind of the workhorse, man. I can throw everything from big worm, dragging a jig on the shelves, hopping a worm. We have a 7.3 medium heavy, everything from buzz baiting, hopping a spoon. I step down the lengths a lot of times, because a lot of times the length affects the height of the fisherman. So a lot of guys are not that comfortable with a 7.6 rod. I wanted you to be able to keep that same action. So if you want to still fish offshore and you felt like a 7.6 was too cumbersome and too bulky, we have something really close to that in the 7.3. We actually have it in a heavy and a medium heavy. We have a 7.2 medium heavy. We have a 7-foot medium heavy. Have spinning rods in the medium heavy, but we stayed a lot in that medium heavy. Why? Because it's what you use all the time. To say that I need a 7-foot heavy rod, I may only need once or twice every 2 or 3 years. So I always put my mindset as if I was a customer. If I walked in an academy and I said, hey, I want to buy a rod that I can fish a lot across the board, would I want a 7.4 heavy or a 7.4 medium heavy? And I always come back to let a guy be able to buy one rod if that's all they can afford and fish as many things as you can. So medium heavy is a lot. So we actually have a 7-foot cranking. We have a 7.4 medium heavy, like a medium cranking, and a 7.6. The 7.4 cranking rod is what I throw my chatterbaits on, my DT6s, DT8s, DT10s. 7 foot's going to be like a Rocco square bill, smaller plugs. And the 7.6 is going to be the DT20s and the deep down dredgers that you want to throw 17 miles. So hope that helped a little bit on that. Lulu's got another question.
Which Buckeye spot remover would you use on a Zoom mag trick worm?
Which Buckeye spot remover head would I use on a Zoom mag trick worm? That's going to be a 1/2 ounce 99% of the time. Now at Fork this year, I did jump up to a 3/4 because we had so much high wind. But most of the time, my nephew Trey and myself fishing 3, 4, 5 days a week out here at Gunnersville, dragging a worm around. It's a half ounce. It's just a half ounce. I think I get a better feel for it. I can drop down to 14-pound line and keep it in the bottom, 25 foot in the current. But it seems like once you get used to the half ounce, that's what you throw.
What's a tiller tad?
What's a tiller tad?
Somebody keeps asking, you ever seen a tiller tad?
Someone's asking, have I ever seen a tiller tad? Ricky, you ever seen a tiller tad? I don't know what that is.
Ask Trey.
I mean, I seen a guy down at Dollar General look like he might have smoked some tiller tad, but I have not. Anybody out here know what that is? What's up, GMan from Western Kentucky? Shout out, please. All right, Jeff Houston, there you go. Coming all the way in from West Kentucky. Shout out to you, my boy. I am from Augusta, and I have always had easy access to Buckeye Lures football jig. I am running out of them and need to buy more. It's getting hard to find. Can you help me find some? And I tell you what, I bet my folks at Buckeyes watching this right now, we can help you find some. And I do know, I may not be able to should say this, but I can tell you that Buckeye is working on an online store. And it's just for situations like this, Robbie, where you need to be able to buy more baits and you can't find them. Buckeye sees the need to have an online store. I think it serves the customer well. We're not going to cut the retail person out. You're not going to be able to buy them any cheaper or do anything, but we want you to have access to them. So, yeah, we'll see if somebody from Buckeye will answer this. And if not, I know we're working on a store. Buckeye plans for a bucktail jig for smallmouth. We talked about that too. We talked about it for largemouth, but I do think there's a market, and if we find the right people for hair and tying hair, and man, that's hard to do, that maybe we can find someone to tie hair jigs for smallmouth, because that seems to be a really, really hot trend, and I don't think it's going away. But it's just doing the research and being able to find somebody who can keep up and tie them is what we're hung up on right now. GMan, help me get out of this slump. Been catching only small fish and big women. Need some words of encouragement. Well, I mean, maybe you need to swap what you're fishing for with the women, fish for with the fish, and then take your fish and fish for with the women. I don't know. Swap it up. What do you think? I think sometimes when
First of all, you don't use that word slump.
All right, yeah. My wife said, well, I didn't want to preach, but my wife's going to make me preach now. I don't allow anybody when I'm around them fishing to use the word slump. So, Brian, we got to take that out. So I'm going to read this question again. It said, GMan, help me to catch bigger fish. I'm only catching small fish. I believe if you say that word and you think that word, you can actually start to believe that word. I think there's times when we just not catch them as big as we want. And it could be the size of the bait you're throwing. It could be the depth that you're fishing. So I would say, look at the baits that you're throwing and see, are you targeting more small bites? Are you just fishing for bites? Because a lot of times to catch bigger fish, it's not near as fun as it is to catch more fish. Because when we fish gunners, was a small example. Trey Swindle and I fish out here to catch the big ones on the ledges, like in a Wednesday night or Tuesday night or Thursday night. We got to throw big stuff, and it ain't near as fun. We don't catch near as many fish as we were if we were just fishing. So you might want to adjust the size of the bait you're fishing and focus on fewer bites. Roll Tide, GMan from West Kentucky. Shout out, Jeff. I appreciate that, man. Roll Tide. We didn't roll up much this year, man. We were a subpar team, and we got subpar treatment. So hope next year we're going to be better. I've heard today that one of Alabama's running backs is trying to get in the portal to go to Colorado. So I don't know. I mean, losing them left and right, paying college for.
Wants to know if you got that coyote.
Somebody want to know if I got that coyote up the farm. I opened the door the other day and there's a coyote in my front yard trying to jump on my Weimaraner. My wife put me to work. Your wife's serious when she starts dragging out the Burris night vision thermal and saying, hey, you got work to do. Sit up on the porch. But yes, we are thinning them out. So some people might look at that post and say, man, they just some reckless rednecks. No, we do predator control on our farm because they're very devastating to our turkey population and our small deer population. And even though we're in the middle of hunting season, we still have fawns that have not been out of their spots more than a month, and they're easy accessible to coyotes. So when you get an abundance of coyotes, you have to be pretty cognizant to go kill them. I mean, I hate to say it like that. You got to kill them. You don't harvest coyotes. I don't go pick a bushel of coyotes. I got to kill them because they can destroy a turkey population. Now, this is a trick question right here. Compound or crossbow? My wife just give you the steak.
Compound.
It's a compound. I'm not saying there's not going to come a time in my life where my elbows and my body won't let me shoot a compound. But as long as I can draw it back all the way down to 45 pounds, I'm going to hunt with a compound because of the art of it, the extra. I would say it's just harder, man. I mean, the challenge is just so much harder with a compound. You got to do so many more things right versus just pulling the trigger. Bigger profile jig or smaller profile jig in winter jig fishing? That's a great question. Clear water, 99% of the time in clear water, you want to stay with a smaller profile and low action. If you get a little stain in the water up to dirty water, I'm going to go with the biggest profile I can get. And, you know, being as you brought that up, me and my boy Crispin had a long conversation about making the ultimate old school flipping jig and bringing it to you folks out there, all the Buckeye fans and the fishing fans, to bring one to you, man. Bring a right one to you with the right hook and the right weed guard. I'm not talking about a weed guard weak as palm water. If you pick up a flipping jig and it's got 6-8 strands of weed guard in it, it ain't no flipping jig. You're going to flip it over there and go get it. That's what you're going to do. We want to build a flipping jig that you can throw in the most gnarly pine top out there and get it back. So flipping jigs, dirty water, big profile, cleaner water, small profile. 99% of the time, that's a strict rule to go by. GMan, I need a good bait so I can outfish my husband. Any suggestions? Well, I mean, I'm not sure where y'all at, but I'm going to tell you, there's 2 or 3 things we can start to work on that. And you can take a little shaky head, and you take a little 1/4 ounce or 3/16 ounce shaky head, a Zoom trick worm, green pumpkin. I mean, keep it real, just green pumpkin. And you put it on some 10-pound line and you can throw it behind your husband 99% of the time, hot water or cold water. Keep it on the bottom. That's all you got to do is just make sure your bait stays on the bottom and lightly shaking the slack in the line. You don't want to just hop the bait all the way up and down and shake the slack. Jesse Wiggins said you want to shake the flake out of it. So next time you pick that shaky head up and you throw it out there, you just hear Jesse Wiggins going, shake the flake out of that worm. You want to keep it slow on the bottom and just slowly quivering along. I bet you rally him up now. I bet you challenge him now. Don't tell him I sent you, though. I don't want nobody after me.
Are you still using lure lock?
Yes, I am still using lure lock. Got a garage full of them, truck full of them. Just waiting on my boat to get done up at Hennessy Outdoors to finishing up. I can fill my boat back up with it. But yeah, getting a boat rig right now. What do you see the biggest advantage of round jig is versus football? Yeah, a lot of people ask me that, and it's a great question. Like, why did you go with the ball and out? Like, why did you go with the ball head? And I said, well, let me ask you a question. I asked the same guy that I said, you throw a shaky head? He said, yeah. So which one you throw? He said, little round head, 1/4 ounce. And before I could say anything, he said, man, I ain't nothing out there out fishing. I said, then why do you think I'd make a football ball in that? I kept the same concept in mind to keep it simple. I just wanted that fall and that look. I figured anything that worked that good on a shaky head had to work that good on a jig head. And it just seemed to always been there. The profile's right. The skirt kind of blends in well with it. You get a great hook set. You catch them from, I've caught some mighty big bass on that thing. I had Matt Lee with me one time, and I caught one probably 9 pounds, and he was like, good God almighty. He said, throwing the smallest jig in the lake, catching the biggest bass. So don't let that short, stout hook fool you. It'll hold a big one.
Yeah, about 10 more minutes.
I got about 10 more minutes. They're going to ask me to wrap it up, so I'm kind of giving Ricky kind of the heads up. Ricky Bosford helps us with this. He's behind the scenes. Y'all can't see him, but he's back here on the IT side working. I got Lulu on the IT side working with a Weimaraner in her lap. And all I do is just sit down here and put my glasses on, read the questions. So ain't that bad for me.
What jig on St. Lawrence?
What leg on what?
Jig
Oh.
St. Lawrence.
Anybody see that South Dakota video? That was a 3/4 ounce ball and out jig with a little full skirt I made with a little old Zoom Z crawl on there, just crocking that head. That's the same thing I throw at St. Lawrence River too. I throw a 3/4 and I drag it. I cut that skirt real tight on a full skirt, cut it real tight, natural colors, and drag it deep. I can throw it on 16-pound line and wash it in that deep current. And people think, oh, it's got to be a drop shot up there. It's got to be this. Hey, dude, when them fish get deep, a smallmouth love that jig. That 3/4 has a small enough hook that you don't miss that many of them, but a strong enough hook you can hold a 6-pounder in that current. Answer that question pretty good, didn't I? I ain't misspelled any questions yet, have I? Buckeye have any finesse football jigs? You know, the jig that they make is their big mop jig, and it has what appears to be a finesse hook in there. So we've actually talked about that. That was one of the things that Crispin and I talked about was, can we take this same head that has such a great reputation all the way down from winning the classic to what it's been known to do and sexy it up and make it a finesse model? So that conversation has been on the table, and it is out there. To tell you when it might come out, I don't know, but I'm gonna push for it. I feel like we already have the head and the hook and the weed guard down pat. I feel like we need to kind of move those skirts around a little bit for those high pressure situations. Oh, hypothetically, I seen a question pop up there. Hypothetically, if you were swinging on a limb, swing over a river while skinny dipping at the apex of your swing and notice a family of four canoe. Hey, somebody, hey, Ernie Swindle, that's my brother. So I got to tell y'all what happened. Just my brother brought that up. I knew when he said apex, I'm like, who's this cat that knows I done this? We were raised on the Locust Fork River. My brother Ernie, my brother Tony, my dad made us. We was truck farmers, so we had to hoe in the field. And I'm not talking about the hoe that they sang about in the rap songs. I'm talking about we had to take a hoe and chop the grass out of the rows. And we had a 100-acre farm, so we had a pretty big chores every day for three teenage boys that was 2 years apart. And my mom and dad both worked. It's like the middle of the day, and we hot, and I forget which one of my brothers like, man, let's go swimming. And we kept a rope tied to a tree down on the swimming hole. So we take off running. I mean, we running. I was pretty quick back then. You know, I had them wheels. But what y'all know is when we running, we skinny dipping. We headed down there peeling off what little clothes we got on. And son, I'm naked as the day I was born. And the rope hung out there. So you had to run off a clay bank and dive to get the rope. And I dove and caught the rope. And when I did that, I kind of had that motion going. I was going to do one of them full pretty flips. But right at the apex, right when I went to turn loose, as Ernest said, I noticed a family of four, men and women, canoeing down the river. And there I sit naked as a spider monkey, about 20 foot high over the river. There ain't much you can say when I come up, but how y'all doing? How y'all doing, folks? So yeah, I probably scarred somebody back then. So hey, it don't always pay to be the fastest. I can tell you that. Don't always pay to be the fastest. I knew that was funny. Somebody that knew my history, what I've been doing. Drinking out of my power pole glass. Y'all see that? Ooh, boy, that little sponsor plug. Don't think I won't throw a sponsor plug in there on y'all. Man, I can't thank everybody enough for coming on the page tonight. I know it's different to do Facebook Live and ask questions, but I hope that we were able to help you guys with some questions and talk a little bit. I know that Buckeyes wanting to be they really want to turn things around, and I hope you guys can see that. Not saying turn it around from a bad thing. They want to turn it up. We want to take it to the next level, and we know the first thing we got to do is interact with the fans more and get our pro staff out, shaking hands and listening to the fans. You know, and what you guys want, what we need, what we should add to our arsenal. I think all great companies only get better when they listen. And that's what I most admire about our situation with GSM and where we're at with Buckeye. A lot of times when big companies buy up smaller companies, people think it's a bad thing. It's not always a bad thing. It gives opportunity for growth. And I think Buckeye has miles and miles of growth in front of them. And I'm excited to say some of the things we talked about. I cannot wait to see them on the shelf, to see the fans go, good Lord, that redneck wasn't kidding. They brought the heat on this one. So it just takes a little time. I know we're going to try to have some things ready for ICAST, but Rome wasn't built in a day, you know, and it took me 2.5 years to get my rods to market. So you got to think about that. It sounds pretty simple to make a jig or to make a hair jig, and it is. But for us to make it right, to meet the standards of myself and the other pro staff guys at Buckeye and the expectations of GSM and our mothership, we have to have quality. So if we build it quick and release it quick, a lot of times it's not that good. So when you see that, sometimes I back away from it, because anything that's done that quick doesn't have a lot of testing in it. And I'm a firm believer that testing eliminates failure. And that's one of the things that I can tell you guys. If you ever question how hard the 13 rods was tested at the Meta Series with myself, just go back and watch every one of my videos. Watch them. If you think I wasn't trying to break everything in that boat, y'all wrong. Because I figured if I can't break them, the fans is going to enjoy them. And that's the same motto we're carrying over here at Buckeye. We want it the best we can get it when we put it on the shelf. And we're trying to keep the price where you can afford it. Unfortunately, to make the best baits out there, you're probably going to see some price hikes and increase, because I see it. I go to a tackle store and buy a tackle, folks. I don't get everything given to me. I don't. I just dropped $1,100 on a bare bow, and that's before I started rigging it. I'm another $700-800 into it, and I had the sight already from Burris. So like, I spend my money on tackle and things that I love, and I go to GTO over here at Gunnersville, and I drop that credit card, and I tell my wife somebody stole my credit card. I don't know how they got all that tackle in there, but I'm not afraid to buy quality. And I look at myself and say, if I'm not afraid to buy quality, then my fans are not, and the people who fish around me are not. So yeah, if the bait costs a little more, sometimes understanding it probably was a concept. I mean, there's some junk out there that people charge a lot of money for, but we don't want to be them people. We want to provide a quality bait, and you guys have a quality experience. So I want to say thanks again for everybody for tuning in. I look forward to doing it again, and I hope everybody has a great Christmas. I know Christmas is coming up, and I know Christmas is up and down time of year for a lot of people. Christmas is not always a happy time for some people. People don't always have the great Christmas, and people lost loved ones. So do this for me as we get into Christmas. Hug your neighbors, be nice to people, try to understand what the struggle they're going through. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes. Do something for somebody they don't expect. Tell somebody you love them you hadn't told in a while. If it's a simple gesture of just saying hello, can make somebody's day. So from all of us at Buckeye, including myself, the entire team from GSM, Ricky Botsford, thanks for getting this thing all together. Lulu, y'all did a good job, but I'm out of here. I got a rerun of Yellowstone to watch, and I ain't going to miss it again, because Rip done tore some folks up, and I am secretly in love with Beth. Peace out.